Good morning and welcome to our community affairs program that we call 30 Minutes. Today our special guest is Mr. Brent Callicott. It's a pleasure to have Brent in the studio today. He has got some very good information to deliver about the weather, the heavy amount of rain we've had so far this year, and where we stand on that. How you doing, Brent?
I'm doing well. I appreciate the opportunity to come speak today and talk to you guys about kind of what we've had. It seems like every time I come in here, we're talking about a lot of rain. We've had a lot of rain in this part of the country for the last several years.
And I think that, as we said before the program, some of the numbers that you're going to give us are going to be quite shocking for this month of June. So as we do each week on our program, we like to let our guest introduce himself. So, Brent, go ahead and do that for those listening today.
Well, those that don't know me, born and raised Obion County, Union City, and have been an outdoorsman my whole life, spent a lot of time in outdoors, and I have a passion for weather. I want to bring weather awareness to others. I have a Brent's weather page that I have formed on Facebook. It's been on there now, just celebrated my 10th anniversary, and that's really moving on pretty good. And I just want to bring weather awareness to others here. We don't have local, we have to depend on Channel 6 in Paducah, Channel 12 in Cape Girardeau, Channel 7 in Jackson to spread our weather. And I try to go a little bit further and try to give us what we think it may be in this part of the country, in far northwest Tennessee, far southwestern Kentucky, and maybe just over the river in the Boot Hill, Missouri.
And with your page, your Brent's weather page, where television brings weather forecast at 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 10 o'clock, you're constantly posting and keeping people updated.
Yeah, I am, and it may be 2 a.m. in the morning, and I feel like that if I'm going to do this, I need to do it right. There are times I cannot be on live when I'd like to be because of my work, but my full-time job at White Ranson Funeral Home. But outside of that, I do this voluntarily. I don't get paid to do this. I like to give back, and I feel like this is my purpose. And if I can help save someone from a flood or from a storm, or the lightning's going to be bad, then that's my goal. That's my ambition to do this. And just trying to, I'm not a meteorologist. I have studied weather for a long, long time, and I just want to bring my weather passion to others and try to explain what we feel like we're going to have in this part of the United States. And
you've made quite an investment in rain gauges and other material just to keep up with what's going on.
I have, and as a hobbyist of it, I call myself a hobbyist of weather nerd, whatever you want to call it, a weatherologist. I do. I've got 3 weather computers. Actually, I have access to 4 now. That self-contained. They've got to do their own thing. They got history, and then I've got manual stuff. And honestly, speaking of weather tools, rain gauges, you have your best accurate weather or your measurements of rainfall with a manual rain gauge. Your digital ones tend to read a little high, but I take an average, and that's what I do. I've got access, I think, of 6 or 7 rain gauges scattered about in Union City and Obion County, and I can take an average of those, and I can get an average of where I'm at. But yeah, I do have quite a bit invested in it, but that's okay.
We all know it can rain 2 inches in downtown Union City and 3/4 of an inch out by the Walmart store.
That's exactly right, and then you can have anywhere from 4 or 5 inches in Hickman, and we may get an inch in Union City or down around Reelfoot Lake. Right. Yeah, weather and that tends to be more so in the summer months, I think. But yet it seemed like this year we've really had a lot of shower type weather. We've had soakers, we've had a lot of rainfall, but also we've had what you just said. We've had actual areas of the county that's received more or less than others. So it's kind of hard to pinpoint, how much rain we get. So on my Facebook page, I ask people to go on there and tell me, how much rain did you get in your community?
Right.
So that way I'm sharing with others
absolutely
what's going on.
And we are fortunate in our area to have some really good meteorologists at our television stations. Personally, myself, I listen and watch and really do believe in Grant Dade at KFVS. And I've heard other meteorologists say that there is no one as good as he is anywhere.
He's really, really good, and his passion, and he's battled some health issues and really has battled through that to keep everybody up to tune on what's going on. He's got a great staff, and WPSD has a great weather program, as well as actually Channel 7.
Yes.
The key nowadays to me is the interruption of programming. I know some people don't like to miss a ball game or whatever, but man, back in the day when you and I were growing up and earlier than that, they didn't really break in as much. But now with technology, they can go on and really bring things and fine tune it. When he gets in their coverage area, they're going to be on there. They're going to help us out. And that's what I try to do with my Facebook page as well.
And we remember back years ago with their weather map where they would draw a cloud on there or draw raindrops.
The old Don McNeely days. Yes, sir. And that was very plain. And that's when my passion started. Yeah.
I wrote Don McNeely down on this piece of paper.
That's when my passion started. Yeah. And even at a younger age than that. So, but yeah, it's been a wet part of the, I don't know. It's for really, I've been telling people since 2018, we've had a lot of waterfall out of the sky. Yeah. A lot. And this year is no exception. We're right on cue and actually a little above what we've had in the past 7, 8, 9 years. And
we had some very cold weather to start this year too. Very cold.
We have. We had a little bit of snow here and there, and then we had the two big floods, as I want to call it, that's already happened in 2025 in February, and that followed the big flood that hit Reeves, followed with massive cold, where we had ice, we had some snow, and it was really a big mess. And then, of course, we had another large amount of rain that fell in April that caused more flooding, and actually historic flooding in Reeves and other parts of West Tennessee. A lot of West Tennessee saw a lot of flooding then.
Well, here we are, Brent, in the second week of June. Where do we stand as far as rainfall in our area?
I'm right now at my house, I'm around 44 inches. That meaning that a typical calendar year, January 1 to December 31, we're around 50 inches for a year. So, man, we don't like much to reaching our average. And I wrote out right here, January we had right at 7 inches. We did have 7 inches. February was 9.45. March was on average 3.45, and then you move right into April and it's 12 inches, and that's not good. And that followed a wet January and February, so we had 12 inches then. And then May was just shy of 10 inches, 9.4. So, and then so far for June, I'm at 2.84, and here we are on Thursday. We've got pretty good amount of rain, 1 to 2 inches of rain. It may fall from Friday through Monday of this coming week. So, it's wet. It's wet.
And I heard someone, and hadn't thought about it, recently saying that we've had more hail here in our area than usual. And we have had hail.
We have. We've had a lot of hail in Martin, Weakley County. Matter of fact, they got plummeted. I can show you damage of I've got kinfolks who've got vehicles that are damaged. A lot of damage of ping pong to tennis ball size hail that fell over there. And that Charles, that storm was ironic. I found that on my radar scope app. I circled that hailstorm getting ready to hit Martin, and it went right through the city of Martin. And some areas didn't have as much as others, but it was quite a bit of big hail. We have had a lot of hail. And I think that shows the severity of the severe weather chances that we've had this year. You and I were talking to one another, actually on the air with Paul, during one of our severe weather possible events. And there again, we've had about 5 or 6 of those events that we didn't sustain a lot of damage around here. Unfortunately, we did have a couple fatalities from the tree that fell. That was, a crazy night in itself. But the Mississippi River may have helped us that night. And I wanted to talk about the Mississippi River. I feel like that you and you live on the river, but I feel like we have seen it didn't help us on December 2021 when we had the tornado on the 10th and 11th.
Yeah, it did not.
That time frame. But we have seen storms fall apart. And is it the river? What is it about that? I've had people reach out to me, and I think there's something to that, and I think it has something to do with our winter weather as well. So I don't know if there's a barrier that God has planted right down through there that things happen, but it doesn't help us all the time. But it just seems like something does take place with that river when it moves east.
You'll hear people say that, especially older people. They say the river saved us this time.
Right.
Now, down in Dyer County, they may not say that's the case. Several storms have come over from Missouri and Arkansas into that area.
Yeah, and the bluff. We've seen the bluffs in Hickman, the bluffs here. Right. You get on down toward Dyersburg, it kind of flattens out a little bit more as you go south. So is it the bluff? I've had meteorologists say no. I can honestly say December 2021, I believe the bluff. I rode a lot of miles that day, and I've shared it on your program before. I rode 55 miles for the National Weather Service where that storm went through Sandburg and went up Sandburg Road and really lifted off the ground for a few miles, 7 or 8 miles by the crow flies, went back down and hit Casey, Kentucky, and went on toward Mayfield. Same storm, just the rotation of it just changed its course.
Hit Mayfield as an EF4 too.
Yeah, man, unbelievable.
Several fatalities.
Hope we don't ever see that again.
And that was a really long track tornado too.
It was. I've got an app that I use, Radar Scope, and I've got that storm circled in Arkansas in the Little Rock area when it started forming. We need to watch this storm. And lo and behold, it started coming true, and I've got it shared on my Facebook page, the track, and it would have been the longest track tornado in history if it had not done the damage. And I drove those back roads on the bluff around Shawtown and back toward Highway 22, and there was just nothing there that was damaged. Nothing, no trees down, but then all of a sudden it started back. So, the bluff may have helped us that night.
It totally changed the face of Mayfield, Kentucky, if you've driven downtown Mayfield.
It did. And Casey as well.
It did.
Casey totally looks different. I understand they're moving forward. They got their new fire station that they're being. Yeah, that's great. And back then, my daughter was playing tennis for Union City. We played Mayfield that spring. And we were down there at the tennis courts, just blocks away from the downtown area. And when it started getting dark, that in March, we could smell something, and they told us they were burning debris still from downtown that happened back in December. We drove through there, and it was unbelievable to see that with my own eyes.
Does not look the same at all. And you mentioned a little bit earlier about Reeves. Boy, they've had their problems this year.
They have. I'm now a member of the Reeves Volunteer Fire Department, not as really as a firefighter, but as a public information officer and doing a few other things, helping them out. It's incredible what I've seen personally with my own eyes, as you have seen as well, and those folks down there have been hammered with the inundated of the flooding, the levees had breaches where water went over the levees and weak areas, and just a lot to really regroup after. So yeah, it's been a crazy year, and especially for the small community of Reeves.
Yeah. For those who are not familiar with it, Reeves was flooded, recovered, came back in, did a lot of work, put in new central air units and all of that, and it happened again. I guess he would say it was probably the largest flood in history, because it actually went over the railroad tracks in Reeves itself. They don't think that's ever happened. The Mount Pia Road was completely flooded most places except where the bridges were with water over that. I'd never seen that. And I got to go in because a member of the fire department down. I got to go in right after they opened the road for the first responders, and I got to see it at the fire. We had 8 inches in February, from the 7 to 8 inches in the station there, and we had about 10 inches in the station on the second flood. So a lot happened,
and still there's a lot of exposure down there that you can see where the flooding was.
That's amazing to think that water would be in the fire station there.
It is, and
That's
it's up on the old G&O Railroad bed. David Kendall, the former fire chief down there that retired out, but still a member of the fire department, was sharing that information with me, and that's why they were able to build that fire station where it is. I believe in, I think in 1985, but don't hold me to that. It could have been, later in the time of when that fire station was built, where it is now. But all the news coverage that took place, national news coverage took place. Reeves was the community of Reeves and the fire department has been blessed. And I'm going to share this with people Monday, which will be, I guess, tomorrow on Monday, the 16th. The Gary Sinise Foundation reached out after the first flood. And right before the second flood, the Gary Sinise Foundation reached back out to Reeves Fire Department. And they are blessing the Reeves Fire Department and we've already received 2 nice gifts. We received an XL boat that was made by the XL company in Arkansas, even though we have the main company here in Union City now. It was made in Arkansas. And we've got a brand new side-by-side that was gifted as well for the community, and will actually help area-wide, not just Reeves. So we're going to have a kind of a media day, photo op day on Monday from 1 to 2 p.m. We invite the public to come out and show their appreciation to this foundation. We've got some representative from the foundation that's going to be here. And so we're excited about that. The boat is outfitted. It's unbelievable what it is and what it looks like. It's all decorative. We've got it red, got Reeves Fire Department on the side of it, and also the side-by-side that we got out here at I-69 Motorsports.
Yeah, they purchased it locally, didn't they?
Both have been purchased locally, so the money went right back in the community. The Gary Sinise Foundation, if you want somewhere to donate money, the Gary Sinise Foundation actually helps rural fire departments, first responders, but their main course was basically for veterans and wounded warriors. I think they built 95 homes across the United States to help these people heal and make it easier in their life after they sacrifice their life for our country. So a big shout out to the Gary Sinise Foundation on what they've done already helping our community. And there will be more about that, I know, this coming week with what's going on, and I'm sure a big news story about that.
And this just actually kind of came as a surprise from what you told me as we talked earlier on. When the call came, couldn't figure out if it was actually a joke or a prank.
Yeah, we didn't know, and so we reached back out to them and found out what they really were asking. And, of course, the Reeves Fire Department were not equipped with a real nice boat. They had a boat, but it's not it's a kind of a John boat type boat. Got great equipment apparatus down there, 3 fine fire equipment trucks, and some things that they thought that our community, they reached out and said, hey, you might could use this. And they just told our guys, hey, some of the officers, hey, just go get what you need and let us know. And that's what happened. So blessings to that organization. They've helped out other fire departments in Tennessee already. So, and Mr. Gary Sinise himself lives in Tennessee now. I think he moved here about a little over 2 years ago. So he lives in the Nashville area. Brent,
what would you say was the financial contribution to Reeves from this organization?
I'm going to say in upwards of $60,000 to $70,000. Yeah. I know that what the boat was and the side by side, I'm not for sure, but I'm going to say 60,000 plus. Yeah. And just unbelievable that took place, and it was like Christmas the last couple of months for the Reeves Fire Department and the Reeves community and Obion County.
Absolutely. And again, purchased right here in Obion County. Yeah. Sure was. Again, today we are speaking to Mr. Brent Callicott. It's always a pleasure to have Brent on our program. And we were also talking earlier about the city of Union City refurbishing and upgrading and updating the city's tornado siren system. And you've had some input on that with the city manager. I
have. I've spoken to Johnny McTurner, and I've actually spoken to a few of the city council members back in the fall, thinking that, hey, this system we have is kind of outdated to some degree. It still works. But then we found out that some of the sirens in town didn't work well. And I believe there's 7 in Union City scattered about. Understand, folks, that the tornado sirens in any community you live in are basically to alert you while you're outside, not while you're inside. That's where we come into play of a Midland weather radio, WR120. Matter of fact, if I can say Walmart, Union City, David Harris, the fine folks out there, David went out on a limb and ordered a bunch of these. And we've probably sold pushing 300, over 300 of these. He's made 3 special orders. The only way you can get them through Walmart is online. And they're kind of hard to get, a good cheap price there. So I brought forward about the tornado sirens. I believe UNC Police Chief Ben Yates informed the city council back a few months ago that 40% were working. So the city of Union City has come forward and they're going to repair what we have, get them in working order, and have a maintenance contract, try to keep those in working conditions. The system, I believe, was installed in Union City in 2002. So the system is at least, 20-plus years old. And also, once they're up to date, I've introduced to them a Code Red app system that goes on your cell phone that follows your physical address, not necessarily your phone. So I think you put in your address or where you live and or your business, and you will get alerted for severe weather or basically anything that may take place. And that's another thing that the siren system does. It may be we may have a hazardous material. They may have to sound alarms. I know Reeves has got a brand new alarm that they put in. They use it actually for tornadoes and for flooding, and I was there when we set it off that night for the first time as far as a flood goes. So yeah, that's in the works. In the Code Red, there's going to be more coming out about that. That's free, the Code Red system. You can go and download the app, go and search on your Play Store or your Apple Store, download your Code Red app and just kind of follow the directions, kind of go in and get pre-signed up. And the city is going to be involved in it, and they're testing some things right now, and they're going to be looking even further. So hopefully we're going to have ways to introduce people to threatening storms coming to Union City and Obion County.
So there's no subscription with the Code Red system?
Not a subscription. It will no cost to any citizen. There is a subscription that will go involved with the city. And if the city downloads that, there may be extra that you'll be alerted on. They're researching that right now, doing some testing. So there are systems across Tennessee and communities that do have the Code Red system already in place. So that will be a benefit for us. Plus, folks, you can also download on your phone. Your phone will alert you to severe weather. Get your weather radio. I go speak to children and students all over the county and all over West Tennessee now. These weather radios are good to have. They're as important as to have in your home as a smoke alarm. And it's a good thing. So you can get one of those. They're not that hard to program. If not, give me a call and I will help you out. I have programmed this year probably, I'd say at least 250 radios. So I'm here to help.
You said at Walmart.
Yeah, I set up at Walmart one day, and I'm going back. We'll be announcing that when I do that. But I just want to bring weather awareness, and I want to help the community. I want to make people safe, and I think that's one of my purposes on this earth right now.
Correct me if I'm wrong about this, Brent. There is a period of time locally in our area, some of the months of the year, where the possibility of severe weather really tampers down a lot. Typically,
your springtime and your fall, late fall, early winter.
Are the worst times.
They're the worst times. And the reason that is, Charles, is because of transitions of weather climates. You're going from extreme weather as far as, let's say in the spring, we're going from cold weather to warm weather. Well, when those systems clash, that's where you get your severe weather. This year, we've had a cooler spring, which has pushed that back into June. You look out west, they've had more severe weather out west. We've not had as much severe weather here, it seems like, but we've had the chances. We've had some systems that's been large. We have one that we really thought was going to maybe equal the system that come through here December 2021. But yes, the springtime of, say, late February, March, April, and May, and then you really go into late October, November, and early December is your second time. Yeah. That's what I would tell people.
we've had some really bad tornadoes in the area in the fall.
We have
November, December.
We have, and it, you know, the way the way the weather has been in 2025. Here we are in June, and we're still having a lot of rain. It ought to start drying up, but it probably will. Last year we had a little drought time in August and September and early October, but then it ramped back up, and here we are again. You know, we got it.
The system that you were talking about, we reached a level 5, did we not?
We did, and that
very, very rare that they put us in a
very
level
rare,
5.
very rare. And I want to give a shout out to the National Weather Service offices in Paducah and in Memphis, Nashville, Little Rock. I pay attention to all 4 of those, especially Paducah and Memphis. But they're there, and that's where the weather radio comes into play. That's a direct contact with them, and they're going to let us know really what's going on. And I'm just sharing from them. I share a lot of their work on my Facebook page, and they're good folks, and they're here to, as well as the local meteorologists that do it on our TV stations.
Right. Yeah, I contact both Memphis and Paducah, and they give any and all information that we need for our broadcast here. Very, very good.
Yes, they do.
Talking about that level 5, as you said, that was a very scary period. Several people lost their lives right across the river over in Missouri.
They did, yeah, and there's video footage, and I always tell people, I start sharing this. Reed Timmer is the man to watch on Facebook. He's got the Dominator 3. It's a 28,000-pound armored vehicle. Just last week, week and a half ago, they were in one in Texas, and I think it was an EF3 or a 4, and they got right in the middle of that thing. It went right over the top of them, and it's kind of like the Twister movie. It's got the augers that go down the ground if they need it. It's got a rocket launcher. They wear helmets. I don't know if I might want to try that sometime with him. I'd like to meet him anyway. And he is a meteorologist.
Yes,
he is a fully educated meteorologist. So he's fun to watch.
Well, Brent, we are just about to run out of time for today's program, and I know that you mentioned that you have made several guest appearances around the area lately talking about weather and things that people need to know. You enjoy that, don't you?
I do, and I really do. And my Facebook page, Brent's Weather page, is easy to follow. I go now. I'm from Discovery Park America to different churches to schools. I've gone as far as Boy Scouts. I went to Ripley this year. A lot of area schools. And I work it out on my days off, and I go and I try to fill as many gaps as I can. The more people I can talk to bring a little awareness, I feel like I'm keeping people safer. Right.
Especially the awareness that I know you've always pushed is getting weather radio or the source of getting information about possible storms. That's
right. All these TV stations got apps and everything, and 2 things to keep in mind before you close out. When thunder roar, go indoors. When you hear thunder, go indoors. That means there's lightning. And turn around, don't drown. Don't drive through a flooded roadway. Please, I tell young students before they even start driving, keep that in mind. We don't, because those are 2 things that causes a lot of death with weather, a lot more than actual tornadoes.
Doesn't meteorologists say that 6 inches of water can move a car?
I believe that's right. Yes, sir. That's right.
It's hard to believe.
It's hard to believe, but it can happen.
6 inches of moving water.
And you don't know how deep that water is on the roadway.
Well, that's true.
And so once you get in it, it can be too late.
Brent Callicott with us here today to talk about weather, and we call Brent the weatherologist. He had some other adjectives that go with it I've never heard before. Pretty interesting, but it's always a pleasure to talk with Brent. We talk with him all the time throughout the year. He's a big help to us here at Thunderbolt Broadcasting. We do appreciate you very much.
Thank you.
And that concludes this week's 30 Minutes program. We hope you enjoyed today's show. And, of course, we invite you to tune in again next week at this same time as we bring you topics and information of importance to our community. From all of us here at Thunderbolt Broadcasting, until we meet again next week, I'm Charles Choate.
You've been listening to 30 Minutes, a community affairs program on Thunderbolt Radio. You can listen to this broadcast and others anytime by visiting thunderboltradio.com and following the Thunderbolt Radio and Digital YouTube page. Thanks for listening.